Hello, welcome to the channel. This video is about comparative and superlative. Let's get started. The first things that we're gonna talk about is using less for comparisons. Let's take a look.
The word less is often used to make comparisons between two things or people. It is a simple way to express that one thing is not as much as another. For example, Sarah is less tall than Mark, or Mark is less arrogant than Sarah. However, sometimes we want to make the comparison stronger or weaker to reflect a greater or lesser difference. To make the comparison stronger, words such as much, a lot, and far can be used. For example, rents are much less affordable in Causeway Bay than in Kwun Tong. To make the comparison weaker, words such as a little, slightly, and a bit can be used. For example, I scored 96% and my brother scored 94%, so my result was slightly more impressive. In conclusion, the use of less and modifying words helps to communicate the degree of difference between two things or people.
The next thing to use comparative with as plus the adjective and another as. So let's take a look.
The structure as plus adjective plus as is used to make comparisons when two things are the same in some aspect. This structure is used to show that two things are equal in terms of the adjective being used. For example, Tokyo is as hot as Hong Kong in summer means that the temperature in both places is the same during the summer. Similarly, Sam is as tall as Sue means that both people are the same height. If there is a difference between two things, the negative form, not as plus adjective plus as, can be used to express this. For example, Hong Kong is not as cold as Tokyo in winter means that Hong Kong is less cold than Tokyo during the winter. This structure is equivalent to less plus adjective plus than. Thus, not as plus adjective plus as is another way to express comparisons between two things in a clear and concise manner.
Very nice. It's time to talk about superlative. Let's take a look.
The use of superlative adjectives is essential when comparing more than two things or people. A superlative adjective is used to indicate that one thing or person is the most or least of a certain quality among a group. For example, Sarah is the cleverest student in the class. She is also the most arrogant student. The superlative form is formed in a similar way to the comparative form, but with the definite article, the, preceding the superlative adjective. There are three ways to form superlative adjectives. First, adding is to short adjectives, such as the shortest, the tallest, and the smallest. Second, adding the most to longer adjectives, such as the most interesting and the most surprising. Third, using the irregular forms listed in the table, bad becomes the worst, far becomes the farthest, good becomes the best, little becomes the least, many much becomes the most, and old becomes the oldest. It's important to note that the opposite of the most plus adjective is the least plus adjective. For example, Mark is the least clever, the least arrogant student in the class. In conclusion, superlative adjectives are used to compare more than two things or people and to indicate that one thing or person is the most or least of a certain quality among a group. The superlative form is formed in a similar way to the comparative form, but with the definite article, the, preceding the superlative adjective.
That is also some special patterns with comparatives and superlative. Let's take a look. What are they?
Special patterns with comparatives and superlatives are ways to describe changes over time or to show that two things are changing in a connected manner. To show that a change is continuing over time, we can repeat a comparative adjective, such as getting colder and colder, feeling more and more comfortable, or getting better and better. This pattern can also be used with the word less, such as feeling less and less worried. When two things are changing at the same time, we can use comparative adjectives with the definite article, the, to show the connection, such as, the warmer it gets, the more comfortable I feel. In these sentences, it is important to use comparative forms and not base adjectives. We also have to be cautious about special patterns with comparatives and superlatives, as it involves repeating a comparative adjective to show a change over time. For example, Michelle is getting better and better at tennis, or using comparatives with the definite article, the, to show two things changing. For example, the warmer it is, the better it is. It's important to only use comparative forms, for example, better, instead of good, and to be mindful of omitting the verb be in sentences. Additionally, we often use superlative adjectives before a relative clause to describe the highest degree, such as, the most exciting show that I saw in London. These special patterns are a way to add emphasis and describe change in a more interesting and descriptive way.
That's all for today. Like this video and subscribe our channel. See you next time. Goodbye.